And this is going to lead me right into my first topic of how do I uncover, how do I know if I'm talking to a prospect, right? And Justin said, up until now, I treated these sellers like suspects. Thanks. Bro, listen, I'm with you. I understand, right? Like I used to get caught up in that a lot. And the problem is you don't give yourself an opportunity. So give yourself an opportunity to disqualify them or to qualify them, if not disqualify them, right? Because they will be suspects. They will be. So you got to give yourself an opportunity to do that. Now, what do you guys think so far? Let me know in the comment section if this is helping you, if this is opening up your eyes. I want to see some comments. I want to see some thumbs up here. I want to see some feedback. So far, what we talked about right now, I can tell you if I ended the live right now, with what I just gave, I think you guys would be set to go out. It's very practical stuff, right? Very practical things. But I want to give you more because I want to make sure that you leave with the full understanding of, you know what I'm saying, of what I'm about to share with you. Okay. So now we know, based off Justin's, comment and the question is that most sellers are going to, if not all, are going to come at you with what they would want to get for the property, right? And it's all based on what they actually have heard or what somebody told them, right? It's not, they really haven't talked to somebody. And this is why, moving into my first point of how do I know I'm talking to a prospect? And I want to see that comment section. I want to see what your guys' feedback so far is. And I'm seeing. I'm going to move into. If you guys want to hear the first key point of, if you want me to go and dive deep into the first key point of how do you know if you're actually talking to a prospect or suspect, let me know in the comment section. I'm about to blow your guys' mind here, and I want to make sure that I got your attention. I'm going to dive deep into some things that you probably have not seen. I might even share my screen here actually, because I want to make sure that you guys get to look at what I'm talking about. Okay. So let me see here. While I'm pulling this up, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section so far what you guys think of what I'm talking about right now. Is this something you're dealing with? Is it something you're actually, is it something you probably never thought about or saw? Let me pull this up right here, and I'm going to, all right, here we go. Okay, let's see here. So I'm going to share my screen while you guys are commenting. Michael, I really appreciate it. Thank you for the fire emojis. It means a lot. Let's see here. Let me pull this up really quick. Let's go. Justin says popcorn ready, all ears. Let's go. I appreciate it. We got a lot of people. We got a few people on. Jason said dealing with it every single day. I love it. And here's why. I'm going to give you guys. Let me go ahead and present and share the screen really quick. Window. All right. Let me know if you can see this. Let me know if you guys can see this, and I'll be ready to rock and roll. Let's go. Manuel, appreciate it. He said tacos. Man, you're always making me hungry, bro. But I actually had tacos tonight. My wife made some really good tacos. So let's see. So I already had some, bro. I already had some. All right, here we go. Okay. Can you guys see this? Perfect. Colby says he could see it. I appreciate you. Thumbs up. Maybe I'll make it bigger. I'm still trying to figure this out, bro. Guys, bear with me here. I think that works. That's fine right there. I want to make sure you guys see my mug. All right, let's see. So based on Colby's thumbs up, you guys can see it, right? Perfect. All right, let's go. Jamar, what's up, bro? Where you been at, man? Long time no see. Miss you, bro. All right. So what we got to do is we got to understand that the reason why this is how we're going to know. This is the first phase of how we're going to know if we're talking to a suspect, right? A lot of times what happens with us when we actually especially us that call, especially us that cold calls, especially some of us that pull lists, right? Even PPC, let's just be honest with you, right? When they fill out a form, PPC is a lot, yeah, depending on where the lead comes in, right? If it's an inbound lead, yes, it's going to have a little bit higher motivation than somebody that got hit by an outbound cold caller, right? And so basically, So basically, what we need to do is we need to figure out and we need to understand that whatever it is they put on the notes when they're filling out when it's an inbound lead on the form, we need to find out if that's just a situation or a motivation. I'll even take it a step further, right? Like when you pull a list, just because the list says pre-foreclosure, tax lien, what else? Inheritance property, whatever, right? HOA lien, all of these things that all these lists that we pull, that doesn't mean that it's motivation. All that means is that we're pulling a list based on a situation that's happening, but it doesn't mean that the seller's motivated to sell. That makes sense? And I can tell you, I've had situations where sellers that were in foreclosure actually would not sell to me, and they just let it go to foreclosure, even though they were walking away with money. And this is why you're probably getting frustrated when you're talking to sellers, like, "Oh man, like I don't understand why they don't want to sell to me. Like, this guy's gonna lose the property, and they got a lien on their house, and this and that." And like, this is why, because it's only a situation. And most suspects are going to be in the realm, most suspects are going to live, excuse me, in the realm of those situations. That's why when you buy a list of 10,000 records, guess what? You might only pull anywhere between, 50 to 100 people that are interested in selling. Right? Think about that. Because all that criteria that you pull or everything they put in the notes when it comes to your list and when it comes to this is what they're doing. What it is just a situation. It's not motivation. So first, this is the first key of understanding if you have a prospect or a suspect. You're talking to a suspect or a prospect, excuse me, is understanding, is this just a situation or is this motivation? How do we know that? How can we know that, Max? Can you tell us a little bit? How can you know that? Yeah. Right. So we have an impact meter, right? This is what you got to look at. We have an impact meter of how this is impacting when you're talking to them, when you're asking them questions. You know what I mean? And I just talked about this, right? So we got this is our list that we pull: foreclosure, liens, back taxes, tire, landlord, inheritance. And we think that this is motivation. We think that this is a motivated sell. These are motivated sellers. Now, don't get me wrong; they're in there somewhere. So prospects are in this criteria somewhere in there, but majority of them are going to be suspects, and we know this, right? Because I just said earlier, we are pulling a list of 10,000 records, or we're getting leads, people who are filling out the information, and it's an inbound lead. And so we look at the notes. Either we're going to be like Justin, where we see the notes and it's way overpriced. It's, they're asking for retail and we treat it as suspect, or we say, oh man, this guy's in foreclosure, he's going to lose the property in 30 days. That's got to be a prospect. That's got to be a seller that's motivated to sell. Completely wrong on both sides. We need to find out what's the impact meter. What is the impact meter that what they're going through, to find out if this is somebody, or is this just somebody that's acting like a prospect that's now looking more like, they're going to be a suspect for us. You can ask pretty good questions, right? And I'll get into that. That's going to be my second key. I want to lay the foundation here because I know that a lot of you are actually going through this, right? When you're pulling a list and you're seeing these lists: foreclosure, liens, back taxes, tire, landlord, inheritance. Look, it's funny because I've talked to, I've had people like, oh, I like, whenever I have, acquisitions, and I'm talking to different people and I ask them, like, what do they want to sell? Well, he's got some rental properties. Okay, well, what's going on? How come he wants to sell the rental properties? Well, he's just tired of being a landlord. Okay, that is not motivation. That's not a prospect yet. That's more of a suspect potentially fishing for information. Why are they tired of being a landlord? What's going on? Right? There's something that, have we asked that extra question? Have we asked that extra? Have we made that extra assumption statement? Have we tried to figure out, besides that just being a tired landlord, like what else is going on? You know, have they tried to probably, have they tried to potentially hired a what is it called, a management company? I mean, $150 a month can probably save you a lot of headache, and you don't have to be a tired landlord anymore, right? Potentially. And so again, just because they say those things, right? Excuse me, just because they say those things doesn't mean that there's motivation there, right? So when is there motivation? Motivation comes in the form when the impact meter starts to move, it starts to go to the red, right? This is the thing that you got to understand is that now when we start asking questions, right? When we start asking the right questions, okay, so you're tired. So I'll give you guys a little what do you call it here? So all right, so okay, so tell me a little bit more about what's going on with your properties. Well, I just got tired. I'm just tired of being a landlord. I don't want to rent these anymore. And so, that's just it. I want to sell them. I don't want to be a landlord no more. Okay, got it. Got it. And how long has that been going on? That you decided that you don't want to be a landlord anymore? Well, obviously I've been thinking about this for a while now. I'm getting a little older in age. So I don't want to manage these anymore, and I just want to liquidate and I want to get rid of them. So far the impact meter now has moved just a little bit, right? We're starting to move it from green potentially. We're kind of going yellow now. So then we say, okay, have you ever thought about, now we're gonna call it out. We're gonna discover if this person has really tried everything when it comes to basically trying to solve this problem, right? Because remember, just because they're in the stage, just because they're on a list that says, tire landlord, and just because they told us they're a tire landlord doesn't mean they necessarily are. So we're gonna say, hey, have you ever thought about just maybe paying, paying a management company to really take care of the property for you, where you just don't have to do any of that no more? You know what? I actually haven't, but maybe that's something I would consider, right? Let's just say they say that. Okay, got it. So that's still a possibility from what you're telling me. Yeah, it is. I just wanted to see what you would tell me, what you would pay for the property, because I don't really need the money, right? Now look at that. The impact meter just went back down. It went back down to green for me, right? Now, if that same conversation, the guy's like, you know what? No, Max, I'm already frustrated with this property. I'm tired of these tenants that have been there. They've been in there for 5 years. They messed up the property. They haven't paid me in the last 6 months. All I want to do is I want to get rid of this property, and I want to just make sure that, that I don't want to deal with this anymore. You notice the difference in the conversation? That's what we're looking for. This is why you got to ask that extra question. This is why you got to make that extra statement so you can truly uncover that. And guess what? We are now moving into where? Here. When we hear those things, when we hear it's impacting them personally, financially, emotionally, like, now we're starting to see the needle moving, right? Now we're hearing words as, they're frustrated. They're frustrated. They don't want to deal with it anymore. They're tired of it. They just want to get rid of this problem, right? And the reason I say this is because people buy emotionally and justify it logically, right? So if you got somebody that's very logical in the conversation, it's going to be more of a battle, right? So you have to remember that people buy emotionally and justify it logically, right? And it's something that you have to remember. This is why it's important. This is the first key of understanding if you have a prospect or a suspect. If you're talking to a prospect or a suspect, identifying what is the impact that's happening in their life with the current situation, right? Because again, just because someone's on that list doesn't mean that they're going to be your sellers, right? I've seen this before where people get so frustrated or they get upset about someone not selling to them because, hey, you have so many liens on your property, or you're in foreclosure, you're going to lose the property. And but really we haven't really uncovered, right? This is in the discovery phase. We moved on. We still moved on. And so we have to basically go a little bit deeper. And I love Jamar's statements here, but still not a good reason to sell, right? It isn't a level, isn't it a level deeper, but still is not a good reason to sell, right? It's still a level deeper. Yeah, exactly. It's so what I've learned through, tens of thousands of seller calls that I've made and hundreds of in-house appointments like that I've attended, because that's really where I cut my teeth in. I cut my teeth with in-house seller appointments. And then obviously we moved everything over the phone. And even, I've made thousands, close to tens of thousands of seller calls. And the first problem that the prospect brings you is never, listen to me, write this down. If you're taking notes, you better write this down and you better highlight it. And this is to Jamar's point. The first problem that the prospect brings you is never never the real problem. Okay. The first problem that the prospect brings you is never the real problem. You have to ask one or two or maybe three more questions so you can remove the smoke screen. Most of you are trying to create solutions based on smoke screen problems. Most of you are trying to create and trying to make offers based on surface level conversations. And that's what I'm trying to teach you tonight. And that's what I'm trying to educate you on. So that way you are aware of this and you're paying attention to what the sellers are telling you, right? It's very important. I'm glad you highlighted that, Jamar, because the problem is that a lot of again, I'm going to say this again. We're tailoring solutions, we're making offers, and we're trying to work with people on a more surface level problems, and that's why deals fall apart. That's why sellers don't want to sell. That's why you're working with you find yourself convincing more than actually solving, and those are the things that you need to be aware of. And then you get frustrated and you don't want to do this anymore. You quit. There's levels to this. There's levels to this because let's be honest. Most of you on this call, we know the game has changed. This ain't 2020. This is not 2021 where you can buy a property at whatever price and somebody's going to buy it at whatever price. Like you got to have skill and you got to have tools, right? The skill set level has to go up and your tool set level has to increase, right? And this is just the first key of understanding that is situation versus motivation. Don't create solutions tailored around surface level problems, and don't make offers around surface level situations, right? We got to uncover that. We got to ask one more question. We got to make that one more statement,